I want to talk about Kellyanne Cadigano. I don't know. Kelly Cadigan. There was a debate that she had a while ago with this other trans YouTuber named Naomi, who, if you look at her TikTok, has been milking the debate a little bit. But I also get it because that was a rather large content creator she talked to, and I even did a reaction. Of course, I'll put all that in the description to their debate. But it was interesting, and it was basically you have your progressive trans person, which is Naomi here, versus Kelly Cadigan, who is quite literally going to be the next Blaire White. And it was an interesting debate. I say go watch it. But afterwards, she took a pretty hard L. Took it pretty hard on the nose. There was a lot of... It was rough for her. I would say go watch the full thing, or my reaction to it's in the description. And afterwards, she's kind of spiraling a little bit into like a weird situation where she started this thing called like day 1 of being like this one.
So it's
day 7 of being on the right, and to like basically the Dylan Mulvaney, but on the right. And I think that it's only a matter of time before she gets picked up by something like some kind of organization, whether like Blaire White talks to her or somebody, because she has a lot of followers. She has 900K followers almost, and she gets pretty good views per video. And so I kind of want to just explore her 7 days of being on the right. And that's as many days as it took to create the world. That's what the Jesus guys tell me. I am a Jesus guy, but that's being a little silly. Anyway, I'm going to do more than just the 7. We're going to kind of check out some of her videos after it, like like after the debate, and it kind of starts here.
You know,
this is where it starts, I believe. After her debate with that other trans person, the other girl, it starts here. So let's do it.
As a transgender woman,
yeah,
I've been really scared to give my perspective on this.
That's certainly not true. You have been all over it
because I know it's going to be super controversial.
Yeah.
But I truly don't feel like trans people should be competing in competitive sports.
Not really controversial at all. Nobody, like, it was like maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, it was controversial to say this, but this topic has been like satisfied, so it's not controversial. I agree. I think that trans women are women, and they're just trying to be their authentic selves. There's not a single trans person that goes through transition just to be more competitive and win sports. But unfortunately, if you go through a male puberty and then you compete in female sports, you're going to have a significant advantage, generally speaking. That's just where we are. That's what all the data says. And I don't think unfortunately, it's not good for sports. All trans people would rise to the top, trans women specifically, would rise to the top in women's sports. They would get all the scholarships, and it would just be unfortunate. This isn't like a difficult thing to say. This is a very obvious, it's a pretty easy thing to say. It's not like controversial. The way you say it could be controversial, but yeah.
I just don't think it's fair. No matter how young you've transitioned, I just feel like we have no way of proving that a trans woman wouldn't have some advantage over a biological woman.
I would say that, like, maybe if you didn't even go through a male puberty at all, maybe you wouldn't have an unfair advantage. I don't really know. But
physically.
I also don't think that, I don't know how I feel about that, though.
And I think no one ever wants to talk about this topic.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It is the number one. It's a pretty big topic. People talk about it constantly. It's not something that nobody wants to talk about. Everybody that was the biggest conversation of like 2022, 2021. It was huge. So people are talking. I just don't like the framing of like, this is so controversial. It's not. This conversation's been talked to death, frankly.
When it comes to transgender men, just because they feel it's not as important.
Yeah, because it's not. Because trans men aren't going to beat a cis man. Sorry. That's why nobody really cares about it.
But truly, I mean, especially nowadays where we're telling so many trans people they don't have to go on HRT to be considered transgender, which I don't agree with, but whatever. We're inevitably, because of that, going to have trans people that don't pass as much.
Well, this doesn't matter necessarily because most of the sports place things, whatever, that they have in place, the stipulations say that you have to be transitioning for like a year. And again, I don't think it's enough, but people who are going through some kind of like a transition, a hormonal transition, aren't going to be able to play anyway. So it doesn't really matter, at least trans women. So
So imagine a transgender man who still looks like a biological woman competing against a team of men, biological men.
Okay.
That's going to make them uncomfortable. It's going to put them in a weird spot. You know, they're not going to want to compete as hard because of that.
What the fuck are you talking about? She's saying, what if there was a trans man that didn't transition and then wanted to play with the guys? She just wouldn't even make it to the team because she would lose so hard. Like, the best woman in any sport couldn't even compete with like the most mediocre men in the sport, and that's just how it is. Men don't have to try as hard to do better when it comes to sports than women. So, you know, trans man is obviously a man, but if they're not going through any transition, they basically have the anatomy of a woman. They're not going to even get onto a team. Nobody's going to be like, oh my God, I can't play as hard against, I don't know, Jesse. I don't know, or something weird. Because trans people always choose weird names, you know? Have your parents choose your name, you know? That's the only right thing to do.
So I just think all around, it's not fair.
No kidding.
And I'm saying this as a trans person. I hope I'm allowed to give my opinion on this without it being considered hate speech. But I just feel like it's not fair in all regards. Wow. Am I wrong on that?
Guys, the sky is blue. I know this is controversial. Am I wrong on that? Okay. So this is, I think, her just trying to position herself into a place where people agree with her again after she got absolutely dumpstered in that debate.
Hey guys, what's up? I really want to give props to this specific creator because they are a trans person, but they are speaking out against the indoctrination and the push to have children transition when they're minors. And I'm so glad that somebody who actually is trans is also speaking out against this, even though, as we all know, the liberal mob, they come after you with a vengeance when you don't fit.
The liberal mob, oh my God.
Their narrative, and that is exactly.
I can't really take people who say narrative and liberal mob and woke seriously. I'm assuming they'll throw woke in there. But okay, indoctrination.
Exactly what is happening to this creator. So I want to give them props for speaking out, for being brave, and for not holding back.
I'm really tired of being bullied by my own community. I think it's so sad that I've gone to the right and I've felt so welcomed. Anything that goes against the far left, even if you're trans yourself, oh, you're transphobic. Oh, you can't have a different opinion because your opinion is hate speech.
Yep. I mean, you were okay. I just would recommend watching the debate because Kelly takes a fat L and she says like a lot of dumb shit. Go watch my reaction instead. She just said a lot of like wild stuff there that made no sense whatsoever. I think a lot of people have a problem with her, especially because she was saying basically that people that don't have access to the same like medical transitioning tools because it's very expensive are not valid trans women, blah blah blah. You know, there was just a lot of shitty things she was saying. It's more than just like they're coming after me for no reason. That's not what was happening.
Okay, so I can't have a different opinion then.
You can.
Instead of you guys calling me a pick-me, did you ever think maybe I just genuinely have a different perspective on things? No matter how many times you call me a pick-me, you're never gonna make me think giving hormones to people under the age of 18 is okay.
Kelly, we support you and we thank you for speaking out and for having a backbone. And
yeah, I get it. Like kids transitioning is a very touchy subject. I don't really know the right way to go. I just hope that I don't have a trans kid because I wouldn't want to have to like deal with it. If I do, I'm gonna love the kid, but that's hard because like I wouldn't want to make the decision of having to go to a doctor. And like, you know, because that's hard. Like, I don't think a kid should transition either. But like, what if all the data says that it's the only thing that'll make them happier? Like, what am I supposed to do? Make my kid be miserable because I just don't want to do a thing? You know, and Kelly's somebody who started transitioning at 15 years old. What happened? Why did that go back?
Hey guys, what's up?
Kelly started transitioning at 15 years old. So it's like, how do you say these things? You know what I mean? I think it's interesting that she started transitioning at 15. And then she's telling us that you shouldn't be able to do the thing that she claims makes her super happy. It's hard to say. You know, all these trans people, they started transitioning when they were under the age of 18. It seems like medically or hormonally, and then they're like, "But you shouldn't do that," even though I'm really happy. And it's like that's a little bit of a red flag to me. Because every trans person you see, like, they are trans when they're a kid. They just don't have the access to transitioning. And I understand that. That's a tough conversation. But you transition at 15. So how are you going to tell people not to follow you in that path if they're happy? I just want to make sure we do the right thing. I don't care about kids transitioning. I just care that we do it right. And it can be very confusing. There's a lot going on when you're a kid. So I want to make sure we don't misdiagnose that. But, okay.
Is okay.
Kelly, we support you, and we thank you for speaking out and for having a backbone and not
fight the power.
Down. I'm doing the same on my channel. I get attacked every single day and called a transphobe every single day. And the fact that you as a trans person are being called a transphobe just goes to show how absolutely unhinged this ideology is.
You can be like a thing and still be phobic to a thing. Like if I sat here every day and said that fat women are disgusting and started going on, like I would be fat phobic of me, right? You know, you could be self-hating. So it's okay.
And somebody who actually is trans is being accused of being phobic against themselves just because they disagree with one factor of this ideology.
Let's just take a step back, bro. All of you, we all hate ourselves. That's a very normal thing. So like everybody has a level of hatred for themselves. So it doesn't surprise me that she has a level of hatred for herself. You know, just on like that fundamental level, like saying like, oh, you're getting called a phobic because but you identify with that group. It's like, yeah, bro, I hate myself every day. Are you kidding me? Of course I am. That's a very human experience.
For all the trans women out there, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you know that you're a woman?
So I don't know that I'm a woman because I'm not. I'm a transgender woman.
Oh, well, that's a woman. Okay. We're kind of just being semantical here, but I'm right here.
You know, biological women have a ton of experiences that I'm never going to relate to.
Yes, absolutely. True.
You know, I've had gender reassignment surgery, but I'm not going to know what it's like to menstruate, have a uterus and eggs and produce a child. I'm never even going to know what it's like to be pregnant.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you're not a woman. Obviously, we have a little bit of a change in definition of what a woman is nowadays with like the gender ideology concept or gender concept, which I think is valid. It's perfectly fine. And a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman genuinely and expresses themselves to society as a woman to the best of their ability, or based on what that's socially constructed idea of what a woman is in society. It's not that deep. You might be like, oh, that's circular. That doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, well, what bathroom do you think that this person should use? Because I think that I'd be uncomfortable with them taking a piss next to me. I'd probably put them in the girls' bathroom. Okay, so obviously you you believe that she's a woman too, at least in the ways that like it matters from a public perspective, which is that matters. I would be uncomfortable with her in the bathroom with me. That's not a hot take. That's it. Obviously, when it comes to the doctor, that's between her and her doctor, but there's going to be different ways to interact with that because, you know, you're still going to have some different anatomy. And when it comes to dating, of course, somebody should be privy to that information before they start dating somebody. When it comes to sports, of course. But outside of that, it doesn't really matter, does it? So
even though I'd love to, that's just not in the cards for me.
Okay.
But I don't want people to think I'm invalidating myself when I say that, because there are tons of experiences that I have as a trans woman that a biological woman will never have. Okay. They're never going to know what it's like to be born male, to have to get access to hormone replacement therapy, to have to go through
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Gender reassignment surgery, to have to deal with the ridicule of just being trans in public. I don't know why so many trans people are scared to just label themselves as they are. We are transgender women. What makes us trans? It's the fact that we're born biologically men.
Sure, you're a woman though. There's no reason to tell somebody you're a trans woman. It's just not information that's necessary unless you're like dating them. So who cares? You're a woman. It just comes off as like it gives me pick me energy, bro.
You don't have to be ashamed to admit that.
This gives me like, hey, I'm super passable, so I can take it on the like. It doesn't matter if I call myself a trans woman. You're still going to see me as a woman, so I say whatever I want.
And regardless of those things, I'm still a girl to myself. I'm just a little different.
For all the
Okay, gotcha.
Pick me.
I want to show you guys something really interesting I found.
Okay.
So this is from Reddit, and it's basically someone describing that they don't really feel like they got what they were looking for from.
Okay, I had my first meeting with a psychiatrist, and I felt like I didn't get what I was looking for. It could be totally my fault because I've never met with a therapist or a psychiatrist before ever. So maybe I said the wrong thing or didn't say the right ones. But anyway, I'm not on HRT yet, and I thought it would be smart to start by meeting with a psychiatrist who could assess me and tell me, "Yep, you're based on your answers, you are transgender." I am naive. I also thought I needed a written letter from them to start HRT, but I don't think this is true now. I don't know about that. I think you still do. Anyway. I came in ready to talk about my past and about myself and my life and everything, but they barely asked me about it at all. They basically supported me transitioning right away and took it on face value, everything I said, which is nice on one hand, but I also didn't ask them to evaluate me. But I did also, wait, what? But I did ask them to evaluate me. Then the weirder part was she was describing being a girl as hard because you have to learn how to do makeup and learn coloring and lipstick. And basically, So I can't really read that. Something really hard because all the cosmetic things. I was really confused. Did she think I was ugly and needed contour? Also, being a girl is way more to me than just doing makeup, lol. I don't know. I wanted someone who could be like, yep, I asked you this set of questions, determined you are X, but instead I got what felt like was a short conversation. So I don't know if this is true. This could be a lie, but let's say it's true. First of all, like, I don't think that you should be too overly affirming, of course. Now, I also don't know the age of this person. If this person's like 20 years old going and saying, I'm trans, and maybe the doctor was affirming because they're like, you're 20, you made this decision. Like, I don't really have to care. It could also be fake. Or it could just be like, hey, we need to make sure we ask the right questions and we need to do a better job diagnosing. What's interesting, though, is that this person talks about how the therapist said that, like, being a girl is hard because you have to learn makeup. Kelly would agree with that because Kelly thinks that if you don't do your best to look exactly like what a woman should look like in society, that you're not trying hard enough. So makeup would be part of that. But okay, interesting. All right.
A psychiatrist when they went to obtain hormones. When I first started my transition, I had to see a therapist
at 15
and a psychiatrist because back in the day it was much harder to obtain HRT. A lot of people misunderstood what I said when I said I convinced them that I was trans. That's not me saying I wasn't really transgender. I'm just saying it didn't take a lot of effort for them to diagnose me with gender dysphoria. Okay. You know, there was very little conversation going on. And I was told when I made that video that, oh, it's just your experience. I had to do so much therapy to be able to get HRT, whatever.
I also know that you have to have this experience for at least 6 months. So I wonder how much more was going on.
But now I'm reading this story. You can pause if you want. But this is another person who had an experience that is very similar to mine.
They might have.
It concerns me because we see so many people detransitioning lately.
Sure.
That I'm like, how easy is it for these therapists to diagnose people? Are they just saying someone's trans after a couple sessions and giving them hormones?
I guess we would have to talk to somebody who could verify that they're actually trans and not just a kind of a random shitpost.
Because that's a problem.
Okay.
We have more people transitioning than ever before.
That's
we have
true.
more young people transitioning than ever before.
True.
And now we have people getting diagnosed with gender dysphoria super easily.
That part, I don't know if that's necessarily true. This is a random Reddit shitpost. It could be true. Definitely want to make sure we do the right thing, but I'm not going to take this as a fact. But okay.
All of that combined is going to create a
pick me.
What just happened? Oh my God.
Pick me.
I want to show you guys something.
Okay.
All of that combined is going to create a disaster. It's exactly why we're seeing so many detransition videos. And I guarantee you there's so many more people that don't post a video talking about how they regret their transition. They get a ton of mean comments from the community.
Well, most of the time, unfortunately, it's because the only people who will pick them up are conservatives, and then they use it as like a transphobic hit piece. So they're like, oh, see, this is why trans people aren't valid in any capacity. So like, yeah, it'd be nice if progressives talked to more detransitioners.
Community. And is that really a community then? If we're just going to blatantly disregard anything someone says if it doesn't fit your agenda? That's not community.
Okay. But it's a little ironic coming from Kelly, only because when she was dunked on with statistics, she's like, I just don't believe those. You know, so that line's a little silly. A psychiatrist is going to throw meds at you. A therapist is going to be more diagnosing. Yeah, you know, if they are over affirming, I wonder how much of that conversation centralizes around our American healthcare system. Because we live in a healthcare system that will throw medication at anybody for anything because the doctors get kickbacks. And I wonder if we just cut down on that financial incentive to overly prescribe and diagnose and whatnot, if we would see a significant end to this potential problem. Like, is this a trans problem or is this a doctors trying to prescribe medication problem? Because doctors are very, very quick to try to give you as many meds as possible.
I have another controversial opinion
for you. Here we go. What is it?
It shouldn't be controversial.
Probably isn't, though.
Why are we still saying it's transphobic to have a dating preference?
Nobody's saying that anymore. This was like 2020 TikTok. Nobody's actually saying that. It's not a controversial opinion. That was crazy when we were talking about that back then, but nobody's unironically saying that now at all. This isn't a conversation. There are a couple of silly gooses that are saying that, but that is like an nth of a percent of people. Trans people are aware that it's not transphobic because they don't want to, you know, as long as you don't want to date them and you're not disrespectful, who cares? This isn't like a controversial opinion. This is like, frankly, another virtue signal. To me, it's It's like, yeah, guys, see, I believe this very commonsensical thing that everybody else believes, and this is so controversial, right? No, that's not. What's up, baby? How you doing? My wife.
Because it's giving me super weird energy.
Okay.
I don't think it's transphobic for someone to say they aren't interested in me.
Yeah, we've already...
Like, imagine if we started telling gay men they had to be attracted to women or they were misogynistic.
Cool.
And I feel like a lot of trans people don't like when people say this because they're scared and think it means they're going to end up alone forever.
Nobody's...
And that's not true, you guys. There are plenty of men who are interested in trans women. I think if a lot of trans people stopped focusing on trying to force others to be attracted to them more on just their own transition. And
that's what I'm talking about. You're just like stepping on the entire trans community to try to platform yourself like a little piss baby. Nobody is truly saying this anymore. There were a couple of people saying it in 2020 on TikTok. Nobody actually thinks this. The majority of the trans people aren't concerned with this fucking topic. Nobody's like, you're transphobic if you won't date me. Like, that's not what's happening. No one says this. You're proposing a non-controversial opinion as if it is controversial to like jerk off fucking transphobic people who are like, yeah, see, blah, 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 blah. Like, shut the fuck up. It's a childish baby, fucking piss baby bullshit.
Blending into society that maybe they would find some people that didn't think previously they would be interested in them might be.
Yeah.
You know, for example, my boyfriend had never dated a trans person before me, and, you know, we just met, clicked, and we've been together for the past 4 years. Cool. And don't get that twisted for me saying that people can't have preferences, because if a man's not interested in you for being trans, even if he does think you're pretty, that's a totally valid reason. Like, people are allowed to pick and choose who they date. Sure. I think a lot of the controversial takes I've posted...
You haven't posted. The last two takes are not having been controversial. It's not controversial to say trans women shouldn't compete in cis women's sports. It's not controversial to say that there's dating preferences and transphobic as long as you're not being disrespectful. It's not controversial.
Have opened some people up to being more
accepting
of trans people because they realize that not all of us have the same views. So, you know, like, opinions can be changed. People can be surprised by things in life. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen, but I'm just throwing that point out there.
Yeah.
I have another Why
don't you just grow some balls and make these opinions when they actually are considered controversial instead of saying it years later after the conversation's been settled. You know what I'm saying? That's funny. Grow them back, you know? All right.
So I've received a lot of comments of people telling me children are not able to access hormone replacement therapy without having to talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist.
Yeah, you have like 6 months, I think.
And going through months of therapy.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to be proving that point wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to be calling Planned Parenthood and asking them if A, I can obtain hormones without any therapy, and B, can I do it as a minor?
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
Please listen carefully as our menu up.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. My name is Ale. May I have your first name?
Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Are you scheduling for yourself or for someone else?
For myself, but I just had a quick question. I wasn't sure if a recommendation from a therapist was required to start hormone replacement therapy.
Let me see here. No, you don't need a referral from your provider to start hormone therapy.
And it doesn't matter if I'm 17?
Let me see here. So, no, it doesn't matter if you're 17.
So, I've received
I don't really know what that proves. Interesting, I guess.
A lot of comments.
That doesn't prove that you don't need to have a long period of time. They might be... I don't really know. I don't think that proves that you can't... That there's no... stipulations on getting hormones. Yeah, I don't like, let's see. I don't think that means that you don't have to have like a consistent history of having gender dysphoria. I guess that just means that like Planned Parenthood will take care of it. I feel like that wasn't enough questions.
Of people telling me children are not able to access hormone replacement therapy without having to talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist and going through months of therapy. Today, I'm going to be proving that point wrong. I'm going to be calling Planned Parenthood and asking them if A, I can obtain hormones without any therapy, and B, can I do it as a minor?
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. Please listen carefully as our menu up.
Okay.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. My name is Ale. May I have your first name?
Ashley.
Okay.
Hi, Ashley. Are you scheduling for yourself or for someone else?
For myself, but I just had a quick question. I wasn't sure if a recommendation from a therapist was required to start hormone replacement therapy.
Let me see here. No, you don't need a referral from...
I wish she didn't cut the video, because it sounds like she kind of cut it there.
No.
Yeah, she cut it right there. Okay.
You need a referral from your
provider. Okay.
And it doesn't matter if I'm 17?
Oh, let me see here. So, no, it doesn't matter if you're 17.
So I've
Yeah, okay, maybe. Was this to be trans? I'm trying to look at this. Okay, I'm on the Planned Parenthood website. Please note that all hormone therapy patients must be 18 or older in order to start or continue care with us. We are happy to provide referrals for other desired services. So I don't know who she talked to. Maybe they didn't know what they were talking about. I don't know. But I'm on the Planned Parenthood website. I'm going to say that this is probably more accurate than when calling somebody. I don't know if she actually called somebody or if she kind of made that up in like a weird performative attempt, or if that person didn't know what they're talking about, or we don't really know the context of what's happening, because you could probably still get therapy without getting hormone replacement or anything like that. Maybe you could start the process before 18 of getting diagnosed. I feel like maybe we don't know based on 15 seconds of a conversation. Okay. I guess I'll put this in the description too, since it's a source. I kind of feel like she cut a lot out of the video, but okay, let's continue. That's okay.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. Please listen carefully as our menu options may change.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. This is Angelique speaking. Can I have your first and last name, please?
Ashley White.
Okay.
Thank you. And are you calling for yourself or for someone else?
For myself, I just had a quick question. I didn't know if a recommendation from a therapist was required to obtain hormone replacement therapy for my gender transition, or if I could just schedule an appointment and start that process now.
Okay.
Let me find out. Let me place you on a brief hold. 1 moment, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for holding. So, it's not required. If you are over 18, there's no restrictions. If you're under 18, it would just be a parent's sign of consent form.
Okay, you need a pair. Okay.
I'm sorry, I probably should have mentioned, but I am 16, so I just wasn't sure if because.
But you said you were 17 the other video. Is this a different call?
My parents are fine with it, but I haven't talked to a therapist. So basically what you're saying is as long as I have my parents' permission, I wouldn't have to like talk to a therapist or anything.
As of right now, no.
Oh, well, that's not what the website says. I don't know. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of just feel like I feel like this is not what would have to happen based on what I just read from the Planned Parenthood website. It sounds like you have to have a consistent, whatever. I don't think that you could just get on. There's just no way. I just don't believe that. Maybe it depends on the state. Yeah, maybe, I guess. A therapist letter is not required to begin hormone therapy at our healthcare center. However, many patients express an interest in therapy and report that they find it beneficial, particularly during what often the exciting and stressful time. Our health centers. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This is Western Philadelphia. Offers informed consent bias. Patients will be provided the time of their appointment with their information. Okay, so the Planned Parenthood's criteria for hormone therapy reflect the guidelines set by several centers of excellence, transgender and non-binary care persons. Okay. I guess we'd have to look into those then. Okay. Interesting. I wonder. Yeah, so if so this is what so they're following whatever WPATH standards are for care. And the WPATH standards for care, I'll link this again in the description. But as a brief little analysis here, in the thing, it says persistent, well-documented gender dysphoria, capacity to make fully informed decision and give consent to treatment, age of majority in their country, and significant medical or mental health concerns are present. So I don't think it's as easy as just getting it done. There obviously has to be more. If they're following those guidelines, but if they're not, I guess that's something. This is criteria to begin care. Okay. Criteria to start hormone therapy includes, but is not limited to, being 18 and ability to give informed consent. So there could definitely be more parameters. I feel like there's more parameters. I don't think it's as easy as just walking in and getting hormones. I mean, if it is, it's a problem, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like a woman at the front desk doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, and then we're kind of just there, but okay.
So it's day one of being a conservative.
There we go. This is where the video really starts, guys. The conservative. So.
And today I want to talk about why I'm detransitioning.
Okay.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not detransitioning, but I am coming out as someone who is on the center.
Thank you for calling.
God.
So it's day one of being a conservative and coming out as someone who is on the center right wing.
Okay.
You know, I think anyone that's a legal adult should be able to transition, but not if you're a minor. And me saying that as someone who transitioned at 15 does not make me a hypocrite.
It does a little bit, I think. I think that if you're happy being trans and you were able to start at 15, then like there's something to that, even if I'm uncomfortable with it.
It just makes me someone who can look back on my experiences and realize I was really young to be making that decision. And that doesn't mean I regret who I am now. I love how I turned out and I love my transition.
So isn't that okay? If anything, your existence makes me more comfortable with kids transitioning. Like, not for nothing. I'm like being unironic because it's something that worries me. But if with her existence, I think that maybe there's something to children transitioning. Like if she was 15 when she started transitioning and she's happy, then obviously there's something to it. So whether she likes this or not, whether Kelly likes it or not, her existence as a trans woman that transitioned at 15, who does not regret her transition, makes people feel more comfortable with children transitioning. Her existence and advocacy, regardless of what she says, makes people feel more comfortable with kids transitioning. That's just a fact. That's just what's happening. You could deny it if you want, but that's just a fact. That's just a fact. So,
but clearly with all the detransition videos we've been seeing lately, it didn't work out that way for a lot of other people. So I don't think it harms anyone if we just wait until everyone's a legal adult before they start medically transitioning.
But you started at 15.
I believe also in the right to bear arms. I think people have a right.
What a controversial take.
To own a firearm in this country.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think
I prefer fire legs.
we need stricter laws for obtaining them because we need to prevent future tragedies from happening, like what just happened in Nashville. Pronouns,
okay, based trans woman. Conservative
are also totally conditional to me.
Okay.
I'm a huge advocate for freedom of speech. If someone wants to call me he, him, they are allowed to do that. You know, like even though it may hurt my feelings, that is their right. We shouldn't be putting people in jail or fining them or policing that stuff at all.
We're not, at least not in America. I mean, businesses, they'll tell you have to be trans affirming or they could fire you. And that's the business's freedom of speech, their ability to engage in that. So.
And then I found it really interesting that the left took that and was like, oh, why are you like getting upset that we're misgendering you? We're going by your logic. What? I'm not upset about it. I was just pointing out the hypocrisy that you guys were respecting the pronouns of the person who committed the tragedy in Nashville. You were fine with respecting them, a child unaliver, but not me, because you think I'm transphobic when I'm trans. Sometimes I
didn't see any conversation about that. About correctly gendering the person who shot up the that church or the school, which was horrible. I saw one person dishonestly take an article from the Q, I think it's a Q, the nightclub shooting in Florida from years ago, where the headline says like we're trying to properly gender the victims, and say that was somehow, and like use that to pretend that was to make it seem like people were having robust debates about properly gendering people, the person who shot up that school. But no, there has been no actual discourse about this. I've seen. He saw one person. It's just not. Yeah, it's not like a thing that's actually happening. It's just a bunch of dishonest dickheads saying it.
I ultimately think you guys forget we have the court of public opinion as well. It's not like if someone calls me he, him in a very public space, there probably wouldn't be people that would look at them weird or stand up for me. Like, it doesn't have to be a legal thing, or you don't have to force people to respect you, you know? Sure. I also don't think we should be teaching kids in elementary school what it means to be trans or non-binary.
Maybe. I guess it depends on the context. If you have like a trans teacher, they can like learn about its existence, I suppose. But whatever.
Because I really feel like the visibility movement kind of hurt trans kids more than it helped, because it meant so much more when a kid would say they felt like they were the other gender before they knew what it meant to be trans.
I guess, but then at the same time, it creates a comfortable space for you to be able to say that, you know? So, I mean, I understand kids are a little bit silly and they can sometimes be impressionable, of course. But I think if we do it the right way, it's not a big deal. I think that like the only issue I really have is that you're saying that the like visibility movement, like being trans affirming, somehow hurts trans people is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Nowadays, a kid learns what that is, could take the label and go down a path that isn't for them.
Maybe that's why we should make sure that we properly diagnose. I don't think you're going to get gender dysphoria because you learn about a trans person when you're fucking 10.
And lastly, if you're a pre-op trans woman, I really feel like you should be staying out of women's changing spaces. I feel like bathrooms are a different story just because they're more private, but honestly, I think if we're going to consider ourselves to be women, we should be listening to biological women and understanding that there are people who might want to take advantage of the system.
Right, but those people wouldn't be trans people, right? But I guess I understand. I understand the conversation about passability and making cisgender women uncomfortable in spaces. Like, let's say, like I started transitioning and I did very little to change myself. I could be a very big intimidation in like a traditional woman space, but like somebody who, you know, maybe like I'll bring somebody up with that still has a wee wee. Oop, I didn't want to hit that. But then like somebody like this, let me see, I want to make sure I don't show any bad pictures. Somebody like this, you know, that's a trans woman. They still have their wee wee. I know. I've seen it. You know, I'd say this person probably belongs in a woman's bathroom. Right, so it's a little more complicated than being pre-op or post-op. I think it has more about, you know, it's a little different. But yeah, sure. I mean, maybe we just move away from changing rooms that are like male-female in the sense of, or like rather what I'm trying to say is like, as a kid, I think it was really uncomfortable that we all changed in a locker room. I always felt self-conscious in the locker room. Maybe if we made them more private spaces where people weren't encouraged to take their fucking dicks out in front of people, even in the male locker room, it's super weird and uncomfortable in general. Like probably some of the most borderline, I wouldn't say traumatic experiences, but really upsetting experiences as a kid was changing in front of other boys. It was really weird. I think that it's bizarre that we even considered that a thing in the first place. I talked to my wife about this and she wanted to like change in the bathroom and they would yell at her for not getting naked in front of people. I think that we all can agree that it's fucking bizarre that we were telling kids to, and we still are, to get naked in front of each other and change their clothing. It's fucking weird as shit. Maybe create like stalls for kids to go into to change. I don't think anybody likes locker rooms. It's uncomfortable to get naked in front of anybody. Okay. I'm uncomfortable at bathrooms when they don't have dividers between the urinals. All right. So imagine how upset I would be if I had to take my fucking cock out in front of another guy. Like it's just it's a little weird. So yeah, but okay.
So next video. Day 3 of being on the right.
All
and
right.
Today I'm going to be removing my pronouns.
Mine goes to the right too.
From all social media.
Wow, brave.
You know, you guys know, being on TikTok made me feel really pressured to say and do a lot of things that I don't believe in.
Probably this too. I think that it's hard to say. Like, listen, I used to be a big TikToker, whatever. Like, I hate saying it because I say it so much, but it's to prove a point. There's a way that people, especially large content creators, will view fame, and it's hard to communicate to you. But it's very difficult for anybody to be a genuine person on social media because you get so influenced by likes and views and et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like, you know, it's been, 3 years now that I've been like a social media person, and I'm finally just starting to feel like I'm saying what I honestly believe. That doesn't mean I was ever intentionally saying anything dishonestly, but it's hard to navigate online spaces as a famous person when you're trying to maintain that level of fame. And there are certainly atmospheres that are really stressful in different capacities. I've been in the space where I felt like I was rejected by a particular group of people, and I started to be hateful and divisive. And so I think that's what Kelly's going through, and she'll probably just continue to go through that because I don't think that she has the ability to be introspective at all, and she doesn't really care, especially since she's getting a lot of fame right now, being like a right-wing grifter. But yeah, there's definitely stuff like, you know, I'll give you the biggest for instance of a situation where like I'm kind of like regret aspects of it, and that's with Trisha Paytas. I know it sounds so weird. I have a lot of people who watch me from my Trisha Paytas arc. I agree with every criticism that I leveraged against Trisha Paytas, but I also can tell you that like if I ever disagreed with anything partially of what I said, like if people were toxic, let me give you for instance, like my wife and I were talking about Trisha Paytas like years ago, and my wife was like, yeah, you know, everybody calls her so fat, but like she really isn't. She's not really that fat. She's kind of pretty, but she's just kind of like a mean person. She's not like a good person. My wife was ridiculed and like constantly like harassed for saying a normal thing. Like, so it's like one of those things where if you say anything that's not completely like dumpstering Trisha Paytas, at least back then, you would get fucking shit on. And there's like this level of fear that sits in you of like, okay, what can I say? Like I have to make, it's like, you know, and it kind of invades you in a way where you don't even actively think about it. And looking back, I like, wow, I wish I had this conversation differently. You know, Trisha was a silly goose, but frankly, I'm ready for her to come back. But like, it's hard. So it's hard to get that, you know, genuine perspective from people. Especially like what Shane Dawson, for instance, I will say like, oh, Shane Dawson, you know, he did some weird content, but he stopped and he apologized, and who cares now? And people still are like, no, he's a disgusting blah blah blah, and they fucking cry about everything. So like people are fucking piss babies on the internet, and they cry about everything, and they think everything is like the worst thing that's ever happened in their entire life. Like it's crazy, it's wild. So.
It took a really long time to get to this point in my transition. I'm proud of my transition. Wow. And a huge part of that for me was being able to pass and blend into society.
And part of that was starting at 15.
So the last thing that I would want as a trans woman is for someone to be asking me my pronouns. Okay. I worked so hard for people to look at me and see she, her.
Right, but like this is the thing, is putting pronouns in somebody's bio, there's two reasons to do that depending on who you are. Reason number one, if you're somebody who's not necessarily passable, putting that in your bio, it is to help stand with trans people to make them feel more comfortable. Now, obviously, as a cis person, I am passable, right? So if I put he, him in my bio, which I don't do because I think it's just kind of weird, but whatever. That would be, I probably should though, because that would just make trans people feel more comfortable and be like, oh, that guy doesn't hate us. For Kelly, she is a passable trans woman. So saying she, her would be doing basically the same thing I'm doing, creating a comfortable space for trans people to exist, and like almost like just, you know, passive advocacy. So not doing it is obviously not helping the trans community or people, but yeah, do your thing, you know, whatever. I'm just letting you know.
Why would I want to be asked that? And I already know people are going to...
Well, you wouldn't be, because you'd be putting it in your bio.
Going to say, oh, putting your pronouns in your bio prevents people from having to ask you. Well, I get that. I think normalizing everyone to put their pronouns in their social media is pushing an agenda that pronouns can be anything.
I don't think it's pushing that agenda. It's really just being more polite. It's not really, it's pushing an agenda of politeness and comfortability for trans people.
But in reality, I think most people just want them to be assumed. Okay. And don't get me wrong, this is America. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom in general. If you want to put your pronouns in your bio, you are more than welcome to do that. But for me personally, I am not going to feel pressured by my community to do something that doesn't feel right for my transition.
Well, it kind of seems like you're rejecting the trans community and embracing this kind of,
so I'm putting this out there as a public service announcement for any trans person that might feel the same way I do.
Right here. This is something to really be in reality, though, like, because this is one of the things that people do on the internet, and it's very performative, right? It is to announce every movement that they make. And let me tell you, it's always performative. And this is another conversation that like I had with my wife, but people are very incentivized to say everything that they're doing, which is something you don't do in the real world. Right? So this is one of them. She could have just removed her pronouns from the bio and left it, but she wanted to not only talk about it, but she explicitly made a specific video to talk about it. Understand that. Like, it's not like it came up in the middle of a live stream or somebody asked her. She made this video going, I'm going to tell people why I'm doing this thing. And it's such a weird thing to do, but people do it all the time. They announce all the decisions they make. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to do. It's abnormal. And they do it for content, you know? They constantly do shit like that. Like, there are some decisions that I've made that people don't even know about because, like, I just made them, where I'm going to stop or start doing particular things because I'm not making a performative art statement about it. To be honest with you, I feel like people are subscribing to her OnlyFans at higher rates because there's a lot of, like, you know, conservatives that pretend that they hate trans people and jerk off to them still. And I think that maybe this is just giving her OnlyFans more money or something. I don't know.
You do not have to have your pronouns in your bio if you don't want to.
Sure.
That does not make you a bad person.
Okay.
It doesn't make you transphobic.
Okay.
It means you're doing what's best for you in your transition.
Sure.
I wanted to normalize being trans in a way where people would want to blend into society. The majority of society is born.
Well, then let's provide more gender affirming care for obviously people who actually have gender dysphoria so that they get past more and we don't have to have these conversations. But that's like a huge push from trans people to be like, hey, what if we had universal health care that helped cover transitioning? I agree.
And biological men or women and stay that way.
Okay.
I was born a biological male, and I am going out of my way to look as much like a biological woman as possible because I feel comfortable presenting in the female binary. Okay. I think where the issue lies is not everyone who transitions now thinks they have to make a transition much at all or even try to pass.
So this is like let's be clear. There are some people who identify as non-binary that don't have gender dysphoria that are just like whatever. I think that there's a lot of kids that are just like whether they're experimenting or just being weird or whatever. I don't care about them. What I care more about, though, is people that generally have gender dysphoria that are actually making reasonable steps towards transitioning. That is a much more permanent thing than some young people exploring their pronouns. Some people are valid, but some people are just kind of fucking around. It's a much more permanent thing, and like they are just trying to transition to the best of their ability. The reality is you don't have to, and this is the thing. I know that Kelly thinks that if you don't get bottom surgery, you're not a valid trans person because I watched her conversation. That's stupid. Different people are going to have different levels of treatment. Just fundamentally speaking, like let's say there's two people with ADHD and one person took twice the amount of like Ritalin as the other person, twice the dosage of Ritalin. Would you say that like the guy who takes less Ritalin it has less ADHD, or would you just be like, oh, that's a different treatment level required for that person? Like treatment is based on the individual. We don't need to set an arbitrary point of transition just so that Kelly Cadigan can feel happy in her unintelligent perspective when it comes to transitioning. It's about treating people based on what they need. And if you have gender dysphoria and what you need is to be happy is to fully transition, or I don't even want to say fully transition, to get to the point of like bottom surgery and top surgery, hey, God bless you. If you're somebody who wants to look like more androgynous and that makes you happy because this is a mental health thing and that makes you like now like it removes or this is the treatment to your dysphoria, God bless you. Who cares? It's about going to the path that makes you happy. And or rather, if you want to be more scientific about it, it's about going down the path that makes it you able to function in society. So that's the point, is to make sure that that's it. It's all right. You know why you get surgery, transition as a trans person? So you can get a job. Okay, that's what it comes down to. So you can feel comfortable going to work without feeling sad about yourself. That's what it's about. That's what all these things are about. Oh, you take Adderall? That's so that you can function and do your homework and you can go get a job. Okay. Oh, you're transitioning? That's so that you can go do your job without feeling uncomfortable. Oh, you take antidepressants? That's so you can go do a job. That's the whole point of all this. It's just to get people to be able to function in society properly, which typically means get a job. Okay, that's what it's about. Okay, this is all right. We're giving people the ability to transition so that they can go work in the workforce. It's really, that's it. That's all it boils down to. Just give people the tools they need to be able to get out of the house without wanting to hurt themselves because they're so sad. That's it. It's just to get a job. That's all it is. It's not really this huge thing. You guys think about it in like a weird way, but that's all it's about.
And to me, if that's true, I don't think you should have access to certain female spaces, such as changing rooms. So pronouns, they're off my page.
Wow. So brave.
So it's day 4 of being on the right, and today I'm talking about why I'm taking the term cis out of my vocabulary.
Oh God, you're just such a pandering baby. Okay.
I've heard both sides of the argument. I've heard the left.
Bro, it's like really not that big of a take. So this is how it is. Let me check it out. This is how this works. We're gonna bring up paint so that people can be. All right, we have this thing. We have woman. I can't really write well. We have women and we have men. Okay. Now, with our much more robust understanding of transitioning in gender. That's the only reason why we have a diagnosable thing, to make sure people are living their authentic truths. It's just to help people be comfortable and function in society. So we've come to the understanding that there's also a thing called trans women, right? Now, trans women and trans men, hot take, are men and women, right? Trans women are women, trans men are men, right? That's it. Do we change the definition of what trans, so both women and men are a little bit? Sure. We just a little bit, right? Trans, like a man. Well, I don't know. We're having a problem with men nowadays. I mean, we got a whole bunch of people in the manosphere blaming women for getting raped, saying that they should choose better, and fucking making fun of other people's wives unprompted, and, you know, not being deadbeat dads. So clearly we have a problem with men even being men in the first place. Let's just be real, okay? There's a bunch of biological men that are not fucking men, okay? But all it takes to be a man or a woman, okay, is identifying as a man or a woman in a genuine way and doing your best to express yourself as that thing based on, you know, our socially constructed idea of what a man or a woman is, which is going to change depending on the society, right? They got places where you got to wear the hijab and stuff. Over here, pretty loosey-goosey, all right? Got some women with beards and dresses and jeans and whatever, right? So as long as it's genuine, usually you'll do that by diagnosing gender dysphoria, okay? Now, since we've created a lens of a trans person, we're like, oh, what do we got to do for cis? Oh, we got to make one for what does it mean to be, like, you know, now we have to, we're differentiating somebody who was born like one thing and then like identifies as another thing. Okay. So now we're just like coming up with like, oh, we have what's the opposite? Hey, if you're born a man and now you're a woman, you're a trans woman. Okay. So what if you're born a woman and you're still a woman? Okay. You're a cisgen. That's it. That's all it is. You're cis. Now, frankly, I think that we should change it to bro man and cis woman. But hey, listen, I didn't make the rules. So I'm a cis man. This doesn't upset me or offend me. Nobody actually cares. It's not that big of a deal. Who gives a shit? That's it. Who cares? That's it. Stop making, this is trans. This doesn't say truns. Shut the fuck up, asshole. That's it. It's not that hot of a take. Nobody actually cares. Bro man, cis woman, that's what I'm saying. Nobody actually cares about this. It's just a bunch of crybaby, piss baby conservatives that cry about label. Oh, I don't want to be called a cis, blah, blah. So don't. So you're just a woman. But in the context of it, you're a cis woman right now. That's all it is. Okay? Nobody cares. Yeah, if anybody offended by the term cisgendered, you have no real problems in your life. Oh my God, they called me cisgender. Okay, well, you know, when I was a kid, people used to smack my tits around and call me a big fat fucking loser. So that never actually happened, but there are people experiencing much worse things. If you're offended by if you're offended by being called cis, then you have a very blessed life, and you have nothing of you have no real struggle going on in your life. You're a baby, so.
Left tell me that cis is nothing more than a term used to differentiate between trans people and biological men and women.
That's all
and
it
I've
is.
had the right tell me that they're offended when people call them anything other than biological men or women.
I don't care. Nobody cares.
Here's the thing. I like to think logically, right?
Sure.
So if the majority of society is born biological men and women and stay that way,
okay,
we should probably be going out of our way to make the majority happy. Why change the world for less than 2% of the population, right? Because
you think that's using the term cisgendered is changing the world? It is a label. It's the same thing that people who get called Homo sapiens crying because you're getting called a homo. Like, it's just a fucking word to describe a thing. That's all it is. This isn't that, like, logically. I actually think that we should appeal to a populist idea that shut the fuck up. It's just a fucking word. Oh, you're a cis man. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. It's a fucking term. It's a fucking really more of a scientific term. That's all it is. It's just scientific. I don't care. It means nothing to me. If you're, oh, that's a cis man. Okay, I don't care. It means nothing to anybody. You're just being a fucking crybaby. If you think that it's upsetting, oh, don't call me a cis person. It makes me sad. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck off. You're a fucking loser. You're a weak little pathetic shit baby. Listen, not for nothing. Okay, here's my take on like it's just like a pronoun take. Like if somebody fucking like misgenders you or something, like what your pronoun accidentally, and you start having a fucking shit fit. Like I think that you're a weak piss baby loser. In the same way, where if you get upset because somebody says that you're a cis person in the context of because you are, and you cry about it, you're a fucking piss baby. Like shut the fuck up. I don't care. Nobody cares. Stop being so fucking sensitive. You know, like shut up. It's just a fucking term for a thing. It doesn't matter. I don't care about you. If you're gonna cry, oh, you called me cisgender. If you're gonna cry about that, I don't want to be your friend. You're a fucking loser. Oh, it makes me sad when you call me cisgendered. Fuck yourself. Go do something productive with your stupid fucking life than sit on goddamn TikTok crying about being called a cisgendered person. You're a fucking baby. You have nothing going on. Your life is fucking meaningless, and it's fucking too easy. Okay? You need to go work in the mines and cry about that. Okay? Go get black lung, and then tell me what do you think about being cisgendered. Okay? I don't give a fuck. It's a crybaby shit. Shut the fuck up.
That's the percentage of us that are trans.
I don't care.
I really think that if we as trans women are going to say we're women, right? Don't you think
you just said that you shouldn't say you're a woman, so
should be listening to biological women when they say that they don't identify with the term cis?
I don't care.
Especially when we're asking them as well to like respect our pronouns and our identity.
Okay, you're a trans woman and you want to be called a she, her. Okay.
Like.
And we call women she, her. That's it. This is just, like literally the only time you talk about cis or trans is in the context of like some kind of a conversation. Okay. If a trans woman makes a point to say I'm a woman and you go no, you're a trans woman, then you're the one starting the conversation about these differences. So if they go okay, I'm a trans woman, you're a cis woman, you go no, don't call me that. Okay, then let's just stop calling each other trans or cis. Except in the specific terms when it's like relevant, when we're having like these types of conversations about it when it matters. Like about sports and stuff. But outside of that, it doesn't fucking matter. You're the one that's trying to make the differentiate. If you want to be so specific, you're like, oh, that's a trans woman. Okay, then you're a cis woman. Like, if you're going to bring up the trans shit, like, who cares?
If they're going to respect me and use she, her, I'm of course going to respect you and call you what you want to be called. And a majority of women, at least that I've read in comments, biological women, want to be referred to as biological women.
Nobody does that in the real life. I don't walk up to a person and go like, hello, biological woman. I just say, how are you, ma'am? Like, I don't get it. Shut up. This isn't something happening in everyday life. This is only something that's happening in online trans discourse. Okay? That's it.
Not cis women. I have no problem respecting that. I am not offended by that as a trans woman.
I don't care.
100%.
I don't care.
It's day 4 of being on the right, and today I'm talking about why I'm...
Thanks.
So it's day 5 of being on the right, and today I wanted to talk about what is a woman. So my
a woman is we already talked about this like 8 times today, but we'll just talk about it one more time. A woman is somebody. You notice how it's mostly around women though. Like we don't give a shit about trans men. A woman is somebody who genuinely identifies as a woman and does their best to express themselves as a woman to the society based on that societal, socially constructed idea of a woman. That's it. Okay. Again, you might be like, no, I don't agree with that. A woman is born a woman. They have biology. What bathroom do you think Kelly should use, asshole? You're going to probably say the fucking woman's bathroom. Okay, dickhead. So clearly it's not that simple. That's it. That's as far as we have to go. We could sit here and be like, how do we don't have to always speak. Like, look at the example. Do you want to piss next to this? No, I'm uncomfortable. Put this in a girl's room. That's a girl. That's a fucking woman. Don't put this in the bathroom next to me. I'm not trying to take a fucking dump next to this person. That's it. Okay, she's a trans woman. She knows she's a woman. She knows she's a trans woman. She's just fucking pandering. It's the same thing with Buck Angel. Okay, okay, look. I can't show all the pictures because that's a piece of. What bathroom do you want this person in? Do you feel comfortable with this person in the woman's bathroom? I don't. Now, frankly, we could probably get rid of gendered bathrooms as a social thing. I think in other countries they do, and it doesn't really matter. But in our country, we have this socially constructed idea of separating men and women. This is a man. I wouldn't feel comfortable with this person in a fucking woman's bathroom. That's a biological woman. Okay, it's not that simple. We obviously know that. We know that there are going to be like when we put this into practice. Should this person compete in sports here? No, of course not. But that's just a separation of trans women and cis women. But in the bathroom, I don't want to pee-pee with this. I'm more comfortable pee-peeing with this person. Okay, that's it. If you're not comfortable pee-peeing with any of them, let's just use like regular bathrooms. Like who cares? Okay. Frankly, what we should do is we should change all potties. Just have it so that you walk into a bathroom and then you just go and you piss or shit inside of a cubicle. You know, like most of the time you do. Whatever. There you go. Looking feminine doesn't make you a woman. I agree 1,000%. This isn't somebody who looks feminine. This is a trans woman. This is a woman. Okay? So, I don't know what to tell you. It's not just about looking feminine, silly goose. That's it. Okay?
My definition is someone who's born a biological female, someone that's born with a V canal, a uterus, eggs, typically the ability to produce a child, and 2 sets of X chromosomes.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people are going to say that's not correct because what about trans women?
Yeah,
and
of course.
My answer to that has always been that I, as a trans woman, and simply that, a trans woman, my entire life experience is completely different than that of a biological woman.
So go piss in the men's bathroom and shut the fuck up. How about that? Just stop talking. Go take a piss in a men's bathroom. Go pee in a man's bathroom. Go into exclusively male spaces and go like, I'm a man. But you're not going to do that. You want people to think you're a woman. That's why you transitioned to the point where you look like a woman. So you're just sitting here virtue signaling. Like, you don't actually believe anything that you're saying. Go hang out. You go to say that if you're not going to say you're a man, then you're a woman. I don't know what else to tell you because you're just like, I'm a trans woman. You want people to call you she, her, and talk to you as if they're a woman. You don't want somebody calling you a trans her or like that's it. It's all this boils down to. You're a woman. Shut the fuck up. This is just like baby brain bullshit. Like, why are we even fucking debating about this? Holy shit.
Said this time and time again that I'm never going to know what it's like to produce a child or have a uterus or, be able to say I have XX chromosomes because my chromosomes are always going to be XY, which is typically the male chromosome. The left really.
Why would you say typically? If you wait, why wouldn't you say it always is? So you saying typically the male chromosome means that you don't believe it always is because you're affirming of trans people. The fucking mask is slipping, guys. She can't even stay consistent with her own argument. It wouldn't be typically a man. That would be a man. But since we are trans affirming, that's also can be some women. But they're trans women, which are women. That's it.
Wants me to view myself as the same thing as a biological
Nobody's saying to do that.
Woman.
And like, you actually are doing that more than anybody else. You want to be seen as a biological woman. You got bottom surgery. You think that other people who don't get bottom surgery aren't valid women. You literally think that you have to get to a specific arbitrary point in order to be a woman. So what are you talking about? You're the one that like adheres to these fucking guidelines.
I think the trans community would find they'd be much happier and more accepting of themselves if they accepted their biology. When you can truly look at yourself and be like, yeah, I'm genetically male. And accept that fact and not
everybody's accept that.
Have it bother you anymore. There's so much power behind that.
It's really easy to do that when you're a very passable trans woman. You fucking goober. That's the only difference between you and somebody who's not as passable. It's like, yeah, I am a biological man, but you look like a woman. Like, you are a trans woman. So you don't have as many feelings of discomfort with that concept because you're very passable. Okay? That's all it comes down to.
You guys.
It's a good chocolate milk, yeah.
Anymore
it's
if someone misgenders you. Because you realize that people can say whatever they want.
That's not what it is. It's because you transitioned. You're comfortable with yourself because you got the transition. It's nothing to do with you accepting this. Oh, I've accepted the philosophical idea that blah, blah, blah. No, it's because you fucking transitioned and you feel better about yourself, so you don't care anymore. That's what it is. You're being a liar.
It's never going to take away from who you are as a person. No label or pronoun or words should have that much effect on you. You should be that content in who you are as a person. You shouldn't feel afraid of what other people label you as.
Wow, so
and you
deep,
shouldn't be
so
afraid to label yourself as
Thank you, Darman. I appreciate it.
Something different than a biological woman.
Wow.
Because anything else is a lie. Why am I going to tell myself and perpetuate this fantasy that I'm the same thing as a biological
Nobody's saying that. The trans community isn't saying that at all, okay?
Woman. I'm the same. I'm not. I'm something completely different.
No shit.
And I still feel
not really completely, but sure.
Like I'm considered a girl, at least to myself in my own eyes. But we need to acknowledge the difference here, you guys. So it's
guys, can we do this thing that doesn't exist? Incredible. Trans people don't think that they're the same. They just want to be able to have access to gender affirming care to feel better about themselves, which you have. That's the only reason why you're able to say all this shit is because you don't have this many feelings of dysphoria associated with your body anymore because you were able to transition. You're a fucking privileged fucking little baby that started transitioning at 15 because you probably come from a very financially affluent family and you're doing well. Like, you're a fucking, like, you're an outlier. You're a fucking child. That's it. I'm tired of like well-off people saying that like life is so great. You come from money, obviously, You transitioned at 15. You came from a fucking family that didn't hate on you just for existing as a trans person. The general trans experience isn't figuring out you're trans at 15 and going through the process with your family supporting you. Most trans people just don't get supported. You don't come from the place where you're getting fucking dunked on for being a trans person by the family that fucking hates you for the virtue of your existence. You don't come from this like incredibly religious family that hates you for being trans and thinks that you're just a fucking psychopath idiot. Okay? You don't come from that infrastructure. It's very clear that you come from a family that has a good amount of money, that affirmed you when you were 15 to the point where they're able to help you transition at 15, and now you're a fucking happy, healthy, comfortable person at your age that's just fucking grifting for money because like that's your whole thing now. That's your entire identity. You've decided to centralize around being trans because you're not interesting outside of your transness. You are a basic ass bitch. And that's why all you do is talk about how trans you are. And that's why you want to be a trans, have these conversations, because you're fucking boring. You're a boring loser. Okay? That's all it is. So all you want to do is talk about specifically being trans because that's it. That's all you got. You're not interesting. You're not particularly intelligent. You're not particularly like anything. You're boring as fuck. You're so boring. So all you do is talk about how you're trans. That's what you do. It's the same for everybody. I don't give a fuck. That's it. Get a fucking, talk about more things. Talk about something else. Your entire personality is being a trans person. That's it. That doesn't like trans people, basically. Hey guys, I'm a trans person who transitioned at 15. I love myself and my body, but other kids shouldn't have access to this if they're diagnosed correctly. Blah, 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 blah. Wow, the logic makes me come all over myself. Okay? I love it. Thank you for operating with facts and logic here. Kelly. Fucking Kelly. You chose the name Kelly, asshole. What a shit name. Fucking crazy. It's wild.
So it's day 6 of being on the right, and today I want to talk about why the term birthing people is offensive to women.
It's not offensive. Nobody cares.
The argument for this term is that transgender men can also become pregnant like biological women.
Who cares?
But honestly, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if a transgender man had real gender dysphoria, wouldn't they by any means go out of their way to not become pregnant?
I don't think so. No. This is an arbitrary setting of what it means to be. I think that people in general want to have kids, and if you're a trans man and you happen to be only be able to have kids through your vagina, you're like, well, I want a biological kid, and that might outweigh some of your dysphoria in some capacity. I don't think it's just, no, I don't think it's invalidating of you, but okay.
Because, you know, as a trans woman, I would give anything to be able to have a child.
So go come in a fucking trans man. I don't know what to tell you.
To be able to procreate, but I can't. So wouldn't it be the exact opposite for a transgender man?
No, you're just taking your experiences as an individual and trying to apply it to everybody else. That's all you're doing. Like, that's it.
At least I would think so, right? If you
that's why you're wrong. So
really feel like you are meant to be born a biological man, why would you want anything to do with the female binary?
Because people want to have kids.
Such as pregnancy.
Oh, no.
Not to mention, there have also been...
Well, I mean, if anything, they're actually being consistent because they're trying to redefine, like, and make it so that, like, women aren't the only ones who can get pregnant, so can trans men. So if anything, they're actually operating within your logic. You're saying that because women get pregnant and men don't, that they shouldn't be getting pregnant. What they're trying to do is say, no, men can get pregnant. I'm still a valid man. So either way, even if you disagree with what they're saying, and that's fine, because I think birthing people is weird, I just don't care. They're trying to socially change what it means to be a man in a way that includes being able to have a baby. So they're doing what you're saying. They're trying to assign it to malehood. You might think it's weird, but you're saying they have to like reach this, like, oh, well, typically men can't have babies through a uterus, so they should be called, you're not truly, don't have truly gender dysphoria if you want to have a baby. They're saying, no, men can get pregnant. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, who cares? It's a word. Birthing person, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Nobody really cares. It's just, who cares? Nobody actually cares about this. Again, if you care about this and this upsets you, you're a crybaby. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're sensitive.
Studies that have shown that going on testosterone and having a child at the same time can cause a lot of birth defects.
Yeah, that's why you come off of testosterone. You have to detransition to some extent to be able to birth the baby. This is something that's pretty well known. And if you want to come as a trans woman, you have to also come off of testosterone to be able to come. Like, this is something that's not even about trans people. If you're a competitive athlete, especially like a powerlifter or bodybuilder, you have to cycle off of your shit for a while so that your giblets will fucking, you know, you'll be blowing at full mast. You know what I mean? So this is just, we already know this. People come off of, they detransition to an extent to be able to do these things. So thank you.
Transgender people make up less than 2% of the population. You cut that in half to just transgender men. That's 1% of the population. Are we?
Yeah, still 2% of men, but okay, or whatever.
Are we really going to affect the majority of society?
It's not really. It's not a real effect. It's not a real impact. It doesn't mean anything. It's a word.
Biological women and tell them they have to be called a certain thing.
Okay.
To make 1% of the population happy. And keep in mind, I have transgender men in my comments telling me they agree with me, that they do not understand why any transgender man would want to go through this experience. So it's actually probably even...
This is the first time you've talked about this, so how are they in your comments agreeing with you on this topic?
Less than 1% of the population. A huge role for a majority of women in society is the ability to bear children. I'm not saying every woman can reproduce. There are obviously some outliers, but I think we can all agree it's a strong majority, right? I've had multiple women tell me that this term is offensive to them and that they don't want to be called birthing people.
I don't care. Listen, here's how it'll actually work. When they have the I don't know, for some reason, they'll generally put this in like textbooks or whatever. When it comes down to a person-to-person level, no one's calling you like an actual birthing person to your face. This is what they do. They will now ask you if you're... They basically ask you if you're trans if you go to the hospital now. Last time I went to the hospital for like a heart-related thing, they came up and they asked me like, oh, like they asked me like in a sensitive way. I don't remember the specifics, if I was born a man or a woman, but they asked it in a way that was like sensitive, and I was confused. I'm like, oh, I was born a guy, and they're like, okay, we just have to ask that now. So if they go to the hospital, one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to make sure that, like, if you're a cisgendered woman, oh, don't call me that. They're not going to call you a fucking birthing person. They're just going to call you a pregnant woman. So, okay, but if you happen to be like a trans man, they're going to be more sensitive to that. Who cares? Like, the most inconvenient part of my life is that they might ask me if I'm a guy or a girl. It's okay. I'll be in the ER for a long time because those stupid motherfuckers take like 6 hours to test my blood. So if you, like, at least you're talking to me. At least I got something to do. Hey, you're going to, you want to do, we have to do a blood test on you. For some reason, it's going to take us 45 minutes to get that back. It's going to take us 6 hours to get it back, guys. So we're just going to ask you one additional question. Good. Something to do for an extra 15 seconds in the goddamn hospital as I'm sitting there and waiting. Because holy fuck, I'm here there forever. All right?
And if people are going out of their way,
people don't care. No, they don't. And if you care about this, if you care about being called cisgender or a birthing person, you're a sensitive piss baby loser, and I don't respect you because it's nothing. It is a nothing. You have nothing going on in your life if you think that that's offensive. You are an entitled little fucking child that has nothing going on. You're not oppressed in any capacity, and you want to be mad at something because you're fucking bored. That's all it is. I don't respect weak people who cry about dumb shit. Oh, don't call me cisgendered. I care. If you care about this, you're a loser. I'm just letting you know. That's just what it comes down to. If that's offensive to you, that's fine. You have every right to be offended. You're a loser. You have nothing going on in your life if you think that that's upsetting to you. That's it. You're a child. Grow up. Get something else going on. Okay, people are dealing with real issues, and you want to cry about being called a fucking cisgendered person. You're a baby. Fucking shit your pants.
To respect my pronouns and who I am as a person and my identity, why am I going to go out of my way to disrespect that person?
Okay.
And call them something that they don't want to be called, that they don't identify with.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, there's a mutual respect here, you guys, that has to be given. And not only should we be listening to those women, we also should be listening to transgender men that also say they don't agree with this and that they would have feelings of unaliving at the idea of even experiencing pregnancy.
Why? They just don't get pregnant then? What do you mean?
We got to find some common ground here, you guys.
But nobody's telling them they have to have babies. I'm confused.
So it's...
Just because people care about something you don't doesn't mean that they don't struggle. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. No, I want you to be very clear here. I am the arbiter of everything. Okay? It's not about what I do or don't experience. It's about, like, if you think that being called a cis person is upsetting, you are a loser that has no true struggle in your entire life. That's what it boils down to. If it bothers you, in the same way where I said before, if somebody accidentally misgenders you, okay, and that upsets you, you're a fucking sensitive loser. I don't like sensitive people, okay? I don't care. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't like sensitive people. They're not terrible, but like if you know that's what you've got going on, is that's upsetting you? Oh, I'm a cisgender person. You're crying about that? Get a life. Go do something else. Okay? You have no real struggle. That's just a crybaby bullshit. The same thing as kids who are like, I'm 18 and I don't want to work at McDonald's because shut the fuck up. Shut up. It's annoying. Okay? The only people I'm going to listen to that complain about working at McDonald's are like the 30-year-olds who are doing it because it's the only job that they can get because of some whatever reason. And they can complain about working at McDonald's because it's not only a job that's hard, but it's their career because of whatever's going on in their life, and they need to make more money. All right, it's not just a job; it's a career for them. I don't give a shit. Thanks for telling me my struggles, bro. If you find being called cisgender to struggle, then you're sensitive and you're a baby. That's it, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I pray for you. I pray for you I appreciate that your life is so easy. And I respect that. I respect that your life is so easy. God bless you. Okay? So I feel good about it. Yeah, especially for that. I've never heard someone say cisgender in real life. Yeah, because nobody does. Nobody says cisgendered in real life. This is only when we have the trans discourse online that we even talk about cis or transgender. Outside of that, nobody fucking cares. Okay? That's what it comes down to. I am a great commentator. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really going places. I'm sorry that you're offended, but like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. If this is the biggest thing going on in your life, man, like, I feel bad for you. Like, you know, pick a struggle. I don't know. You got to get more stuff going on. Okay, there's people with real problems in the world. Being called cisgendered is not one of them. We'll survive. We'll be okay.
So it's day 7 of being on the right.
Day 7
and today I
of
want to
being
talk
on the right.
about which bathroom I should be using as a transgender woman.
Let's
so
hear it.
This is a complicated issue for me.
It's not a complicated. You just piss in the fucking woman's bathroom.
I don't really see it as black and white. I think there's a lot of gray area.
Okay.
Pre-2015, almost every trans person had the same goal, to pass, right?
Okay.
Everyone took the necessary steps like going on hormones, getting surgeries done, putting...
Well, not really. Not everybody, even close to most people, have access to those things. So those things are not existing. That's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that people don't have the financial access to transition to the point that they want. You think I know that there are some people that don't have gender dysphoria that are like, I'm trans, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about them. The majority of these individuals, like if you're somebody who's like non-binary but you were born a woman, you use the woman's bathroom. If you're non-binary and you were born a man and like you're not transitioning, you belong in the men's bathroom. I don't really care. I respect your gender identity, but like when it comes down to it, like it's more about how you are expressing yourself to society. Most trans people want to pass, but it's expensive. That's it. That's what it comes down to. People with gender dysphoria, most of them want to pass. There are some people who are more androgynous and there are non-binary trans people. Most people just want to pass, but it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they can't do it. That's it. We're talking about the wrong problem. I don't give a fuck about the bathrooms. Frankly, it's uncomfortable. Just make it so that we have all fucking unisex bathrooms. I don't care anymore. Just make it so you walk in and you fucking go into an individual stall and you take a piss or you take a shit or whatever. I don't fucking care. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad is going to happen. It doesn't matter. Like, the bathroom nobody's actually having a problem in bathrooms. Like, this isn't actually a real thing. Everybody's like, but what if my young daughter is fucking raped by somebody pretending to be a trans man? What about your young son? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Fucking pedophiles rape men, like boys and girls. So like, you don't really care. Like, this isn't an actual issue that's going to happen. I don't know what to tell you, right? Okay, maybe we should just make unisex bathrooms. I don't really give a shit. But like, fuck. Jesus Christ. You're going to use the woman's bathroom.
Effort in general. Nowadays, things aren't the same, right? We're telling people that they don't even have to want to pass to be trans.
No, we're not. No, not really. Not in the same way that you're talking about. That's what like non-binary shit, but that wouldn't have an impact on the bathroom, okay? When it has like an impact on the bathroom, like, give people gender affirming care. Give us universal health care and give people gender affirming care. I make a lot of money, so I don't care. I will pay more taxes. I don't fucking care. Just charge me more money for my taxes. I don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't really need it that much. I'm making decent money now. Even with my step back, I'm still making like a solid amount of money right now. Tax me more so that people can get fucking, oh, but Papa Gut, you know, you'd have to increase your fucking taxes by like 10 or 15%. Good, I don't care. What do you think I do with it? I'm fucking morbidly obese. Like, do you think it was gonna fucking matter? Tax people with more money more. What are you talking about? My household brings in a lot of money. Like not like a huge, massive amount of money, but we're bringing in, we're over that 6-figure amount. Like we're okay. I would be okay with you taxing us more to get fucking healthcare for people that want to fucking transition and have gender dysphoria. You gotta give a shit. Tax me more. I don't care. I just make it work. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Gives a shit.
That gender dysphoria is not even a requirement to be transgender. This extremely small community has goals that are very different than what they were before. And I already know a lot of people on the right are going to have the opinion that if you haven't had gender reassignment surgery, you shouldn't have access to the bathroom of the gender that you identify with. And while I can see your point, I just want to bring up that...
Didn't you make that point earlier?
You know, a year and a half ago, I didn't look very different than what I look like right now, right? Or...
Like, we just watched a video earlier where you basically said that if you don't have a vagina... Well, I guess you said not bathrooms. You said, like, fucking locker rooms, whatever.
Look at a creator like Blaire White, who is a beautiful transgender woman, passes in all regards, but she's been open about having no desire to get the surgery done. Do you really think it would be appropriate for someone like her or me to use the men's room? Because I don't think so. I think that's going to cause more issues than it's going to solve. So with that being said, I really feel like people should just go where it makes the most sense, right?
Yeah.
Like if I...
It's because if you're a woman, go piss in the woman's bathroom. And this is a woman, so she would piss in the woman's bathroom.
The transgender woman have been on HRT. It's obvious I'm putting an effort into my appearance to fit in the binary. Then I should be able to use the female bathroom, in my opinion, because no one's going to give me a second glance. If you're confident you can walk into the female restroom and no one's going to notice, then it doesn't matter what anyone on the internet says because no one's going to notice.
Based.
But where the issue lies and where I think the big problem is there's a lot of people on this app that are transgender that look like they've put zero effort into their transition or changing their appearance, but they want full access into the female bathroom.
I don't think that that's really happening, to be honest with you. There definitely are people who identify as trans and make no effort. That's a real thing that's happening, and it's annoying. I get that. But I have not seen a large amount or coalition of people who are making no effort that want to use a different bathroom. Okay? And if there is, they're 15-year-old kids I don't care about and I don't respect because children are stupid. Sorry, kids. If you're 15, I'm sorry. You're more mature for your age if you're watching Papa God. Okay? So don't worry. I don't think this is like a widespread thing that people that don't have gender dysphoria are desperately trying to use a different bathroom. I don't think that that's actually happening. But okay.
When their appearance is 100% male. And I think that if we as trans women are going to call ourselves women, we should be listening to biological women and understanding that could make them uncomfortable, right? And this isn't me saying you need to 100% pass to use the bathroom, right? Like, I even think someone like me doesn't pass 100% of the way. But it's obvious I'm making an effort, right? And I wouldn't...
You do pass like 100%, but...
Make someone uncomfortable. And I think that's...
And you know that.
The goal. Right? You don't have to pass, just put in the effort.
Okay.
I think so many more people would be open to the...
What the fuck? This is all over the place. Before you were saying that if you're not passing, what? Okay, whatever. We're almost done. I just want to get out of this segment.
So it's day...
All right, cool. That's the last one. It's day 7. There's no day 8, I hope. Hopefully I refresh. Good, thank God there's no day 8. Okay. There you go. That's Kelly Cadigan, the fucking coping trans woman. Who got dumpstered in a debate, and now she's just like on her like fucking weird path of self-discovery to figure out who she is.